situated. All right. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me. I know this is an exciting day. We're here to talk about rain barrels, and I'm happy that I get to present it to you. Once again, my name is Melissa West. I am the Florida Friendly Landscaping Public Education Program Coordinator. And here are some of our associates that we work with here. Like I said, I am the Florida Friendly Landscaping Program, and that is a program through the University of Florida IFAS Extension. There is an extension in every county. So we are working here in Pinellas County. I work in Largo. And we also work with Tampa Bay Water, who supplies wholesale drinking water to the Tampa Bay region. And a quick agenda of just what we're going to cover. I want to real quick talk about the 9 principles of Florida Friendly Landscaping, in case you're unaware of what they are. That way you know about our program and what we're doing. And then we're going to talk about watersheds, stormwater runoff, water conservation, and then all things rain barrels after that. So I mentioned that I am part of the Florida Friendly Landscaping Program. This is a program that's focused on protecting Florida's natural resources by conserving water, creating wildlife habitat, and reducing pollution and waste while preventing erosion as well. So we do this with 9 principles that we can see here. And we will be focusing on 3 of these principles today: watering efficiently, reducing stormwater runoff, and protecting the waterfront. Okay, so as we know, Florida possesses a large variety of aquatic resources. Some of us rely on it for work. A lot of us rely on it for play. We're surrounded by it. It's all around us everywhere we look. As we can see, we've got miles and miles of shorelines, coastal beaches. We've got thousands of lakes and rivers and streams. So water is a big part of our daily lives here in Florida. And not only are we surrounded by water, we also live on top of it. So we are on top of an aquifer, and we use the Floridan aquifer, as you can see here. So an aquifer is an underground system of rocks and caves, and it holds water. It's composed of multiple layers of porous rock that are usually limestone or sandstone, and it also contains loose materials like sand, silt, or clay. And then the water in this aquifer is replenished when rainfall is soaked into the ground. And I talk about the aquifer because 90% of Florida's drinking water is supplied by our aquifers. So that's a lot. It's important to know about it. We have one of the most productive aquifers in the world, the Floridan aquifer. It is so large, it actually spans into parts of Georgia, Alabama, and South Carolina. And I also like to talk about it because a staggering 50% or plus more of Florida's fresh water is used on landscape irrigation. So that's why it's important to talk about these aquifers and think about all this fresh water that we're using on our landscapes for irrigation that we could be using for drinking. So we're going to dive a little more into that. Real quick, we're going to talk about what a watershed is, and that is an area of land within which the rainfall flows downhill to a river, lake, stream, bay, or ocean. So the watershed is the land that the water is flowing over into a local body of water. And I bring this up because it's important to know that the whole state of Florida is part of a watershed. So everything that we do and all water that falls onto Florida goes to a source of water. So we talked about how big our aquifer is and how much we rely on it. We also need to know about our groundwater, which is the aquifer, and how there are we're facing threats towards our groundwater. Some of these threats would be population growth. As we see more and more people moving to Florida, we've got more and more impervious surfaces, which would be those hard surfaces such as streets, sidewalks, driveways, etc. Those hard surfaces that the water is unable to filtrate through. Some more threats to groundwater would be climate change, sea level rise, pollution, saltwater intrusion, and sinkhole formation. And when talking about pollution, there are two different types of pollution. There's point source pollution, and there is non-point source pollution. So first, point source pollution is any pollution that can easily be traced back to its producer. So we can see here, I have a picture of this factory. We can easily point to that factory and say, this is where the pollution is starting. So that is a point source. On the other hand, non-point source pollution is a little trickier to figure out where it started. It's harder to trace back to its original producer. So I have a picture of the water bottle here at the beach at the edge of the water, because we don't know exactly where that came from. Maybe it came off a boat when someone came by on a boating day. Maybe it rolled down the beach from someone that was enjoying the beach that day. We're not sure exactly where that came from. So the easy way to think about it is point source pollution. We can point directly at it and say that's where it started. Non-point source pollution, we can't point directly at where the producer is. And I'm just going over all this again, just because it's very important to understand that all of our water in Florida drains to a water source. So everything we're doing is having an effect. So I like to go over this and give you a little background information before we jump right into the barrels. So stormwater runoff, it is one of the greatest threats to water quality in Florida. And it's really important to talk about too. And what is stormwater runoff? It is the excess water from irrigation, rain, or other sources of water. It is considered a non-point source pollution. And we'll have an example here on the next page. So I like to do a little journey of a raindrop, and we can see here on the picture on the left, we've got a house and we've got our rain cloud above it. So during a rainstorm or rain event, the rain comes down and it'll either hit your roof, where it'll pick up anything that's on your roof, which could be bird droppings, other debris, parts of the roof, any chemicals leaching, any of that. The water's going to pick all that up, and then it's going to make its way into the gutter, and then onto our landscape. And it may run over our grass area, where it'll pick up any of those fertilizers we might be using. It can also pick up pet droppings, herbicides, those sorts of things. Your gutter might lead your water down your driveway instead, which it's going to pick up anything that you might have on your driveway or those hard surfaces. That could be, once again, chemicals, oils, any debris, etc. So all of this rainwater is collecting all of these pollutants on its way down off of your landscape, and then it finds its way into the street where there's runoff, and it finds its way to a storm drain. And then from that storm drain, it finds its way to a local body of water. And why it's important to know this is because our stormwater here is not treated before it enters the local bodies of water. So anything that water comes in contact on its way out to the bodies of water, it's bringing it with it. So any of those chemicals, pesticides, nutrients, fertilizers, debris, etc., all of that is coming along with that rainwater and making it into our local bodies of water. And of course, that has the potential of having a major negative impact on our water. It could be environmental impacts, economic and health concerns. So we're going to talk about those real quick. So some of the environmental concerns that we are facing with stormwater runoff is with the increase of urbanization, we have an increase in stormwater runoff. We rely on our soil and our green spaces to filter that water back into the soil. But as we increase population, we are increasing our hard surfaces and growing out, we have less and less of those green spaces to filter the water back in. So in result, that water is just running off all of those surfaces into our storm drains. Another environmental concern would be water quality. These excess nutrients in the waterways definitely have a negative impact on our ecosystems, and it impedes with our natural ecosystems. And I put down here, it's cheaper to prevent than removing it. So by that, I mean, it's easier and cheaper if we can stop it on our end. Think about what we're doing in our landscape and our daily lives and make a positive impact. It's easier to do it on this end than going back and trying to remove the damage that's already been done. We can also face economic concerns. If we're destroying our natural ecosystems, we're in turn reducing the amount of tourism and industry that's coming into our state, which brings money along with it. And finally, we have health concerns. Drinking or swimming in water with algal blooms can increase, with increased nutrient amounts, can have negative effects health-wise on us, of course, as we know. And the reason I bring all this up, because I just want everyone to know that we can make an impact in our environment. I want to bring up the facts of what's going on. I know it's a little doom and gloom, but the rest of the presentation is not. I just like you guys to kind of have a little background of what's going on and get really excited about your rain barrels, because you can make a big impact and help improve our stormwater quality, which is one of our goals here, and decrease your stormwater runoff by using a rain barrel. So we've got to our favorite part, our exciting part while we're all here, rain barrels. Let's talk about harvesting that rain. We got all that rain living here in Florida, so we might as well put it to use. So how much water can you collect? This is not a picture of the barrel that you guys are getting. I do have a picture later on in the the presentation, but according to the size that I looked up on it, you guys will be able to get 50 gallons of water. That's the barrel that you guys are getting. It will hold 50 gallons of water. So during a typical rainfall, about a half an inch, you can easily fill that barrel. So you are going to have water to use all the time. It's very exciting. So for example, if you have a 2,000 square foot roof, you could potentially collect 1,000 gallons of water. Obviously, not in a 50-gallon rain barrel, but you have the potential to do that if maybe in the future you get more barrels, you can collect more water. So some of the benefits of using a rain barrel is you're reducing your irrigation needs. You can use that water to water your landscape or your plants, which in turn would save you money by not using your irrigation system as much. It helps prevent erosion by stopping some of that water that's coming off onto your landscape. It's a great storage of water during dry periods, and it reduces your polluted stormwater runoff. So there are plenty of water uses for or uses for your rain barrel water. These are just a few. Just like to get you thinking about all the different things you can use it for. You can use it for supplemental watering, like I mentioned on the last slide. You can use it for starting seeds or plant propagation. You could use it to wash your car, clean your windows, clean your paintbrushes, garden tools, or your boots after you're done working out in the garden or outside. And you could use it to fill your bird bath. Like I said, these are just a few examples. I just like to get you thinking about all the fun things you can do with your rain barrel water. Excuse me. So a rain barrel system, it is made up of 5 main components. The first would be the catchment area, and then we have the conveyance system, the storage tank, filtration, and water distribution. And we're going to go over these 5 components now. First, you have your catchment area, and typically in most situations, that would be your roof. This is a great place to catch rainwater, obviously, because of the pitch and the size of your roof. It really allows gravity to do the work and get that water into the rain barrel. There are different options of collecting the water. If you're using your roof, you can use a rain barrel if you have gutters or without gutters. That's why I like to show this picture over here on the left. This is a house without gutters, and you can see the water's just kind of coming off there. That's how I collect my water on my roof. So there are different options because I know everyone's situation's a little bit different. So once again, more options. Once we have all that water we have coming off our roof, we got to get it into our barrel. So we need a conveyance system. There are different options here. The picture on the left is actually a picture of the barrel that you will be receiving if you sign up for the free barrel through the city. Colors may vary. So this is a tan one. I can't guarantee that it's a tan one. But it is the same shape and size and dimensions. So I like to put it on here so you can kind of get an idea of what you're going to be getting as well. So conveyance system, when we're talking about that, we are referring to the way we're getting that water off of our roof into our rain barrel. A lot of times it is through a gutter system, and that is great. You can take your gutters, it might fit already with what you have set up. You may use a gutter extender, which you can see in the top middle picture there. You can collect it directly off of the roof, like I showed on the last slide. And then on the right here, we have a rain chain, which is kind of a more aesthetically pleasing option to get the water into your barrel. So it's really up to you and how your setup is going to be, because it does differ for each household. And then the next part would be your storage tank. Once again, here's a picture of the barrel that you guys would be getting. Colors may vary. Storage tanks, they do come in all shapes and sizes and colors. Common materials are food grade plastic. That's the kind that through the county that we use, we could see the blue barrels. That's more like what we provide. But they really do come in all shapes and sizes. So you got all kinds of options out there. There's all kinds of places to get them as well. We have them for sale through the county, through Florida Friendly Landscaping Program. You guys are here because of the city, but there are also the options to get them reconditioned and reused from, I think I've seen them on Facebook Marketplace, those kinds of places. And they also sell them at big box stores. They sell them in all different shapes, sizes, colors, etc. And while we're talking about storage, I just wanted to touch real quick on rain barrels versus cisterns. So a rain barrel is typically what a homeowner would use for their storage, just because it's a smaller size, a smaller scale. The average rain barrel holds about 50 to 200 gallons, so that's a little more manageable. But a cistern is something that's doable. It's just on a larger scale and requires a little more engineering. They do have a greater storage capacity. They can store up to 10,000 gallons, which is a lot and could be awesome. But they could require some permitting, so keep that in mind. Rain barrels are a great way to get started, get your feet wet, figure out how it works, how the process works, and decide if you want to do something more in the future. And speaking of doing more, what if one barrel is not enough? Which you could find out easily. Like I had said earlier, you're going to fill that barrel up real fast. So in the future, you might decide that you want to add another barrel to your collection. There's some different options about going about this. You could set up barrels at different points around your house. They could be at different gutter locations or different points where the water is coming off of your roof. Here I have barrels that are connected with each other. On the left, they are connected at the top. And then on the right, they are connected at the bottom. And I show these two different pictures because if you decide that you're going to connect multiple barrels to each other, you need to keep in mind where you're connecting them and how you're going to get the water back out of them. The one on the left, where the pipe is connecting the two at the top, you would need to have a spigot to get the water out installed on both of those barrels. And the reason I'm telling you this is because if you fill up one barrel and then it overflows into the next barrel, you are unable to get the water out of the other barrel if it's below that pipeline. So you will definitely need spigots on both barrels. On the other hand, if you're connecting at the bottom, you could get away with only having one spigot, like you see in the picture here. And that's because the water, you're going to have access to most of that water in that other barrel because it's not going to go too far below that pipeline. You've got that whole barrel above it that's full of water. All right, so another part to consider on your storage tank or your water rain barrel is overflow. You want to think about where that water's going. Like I said, it's going to be real easy to fill up that barrel. So we want to think about where our water's going. We want to make sure we're directing it away from our foundation. We want to get it away from the foundation because we don't want to have any problems there, cause any issues. And if we can kind of focus it towards a green space, that's a 2-for-1. You're using that water once again. And you definitely want to be putting it towards a surface that is going to be able to let it filter through. A green space, a permeable surface, something where that water is going to be able to go through. It's not going to slide off and go down into our gutters, creating stormwater runoff. Next, we want to think about filtration. This is a very important aspect of the setup. Not only is it going to help reduce like leaves getting or other organic debris from getting into your barrel, it's also going to help keep out those mosquitoes. I know that's a big one people worry about when they think about rain barrels. I'm going to have all this water sitting on my property. How am I going to keep mosquitoes out? Filtration is key on that. So there's some different options. You can see here, there is a little filter basket that goes up at the top of your gutter. That's an option if you want to prevent all of the big pieces of debris from even going down your gutter to begin with. That's something you could do. Here on the left is a picture of the barrel that the city of Largo is providing. And at the top here, that top dark square, that is filtration, and that is where your water will be going into the barrel. So luckily, you guys already have your filtration built in. That's wonderful. But just to give you some more options and get your mind thinking about it for the future, in case you get another barrel that isn't already pre-screened or filtered for you. These are some more ideas for you. We usually recommend to use a mesh screening, like you can see on this bottom right picture. I usually use window screening. I had some left over from a re-screening project that I had done, and that works wonderfully. You just kind of cut out the size you need, put it on top, and bungee cord it on there, and you are good to go. That will help keep out any of the mosquitoes, and it helps keep out any bits of debris from getting into your barrel. And finally, water distribution. We've collected all that water. Now we have to get it out there. Let's go use it. Some great ways to get the water out of your barrel would be to hook up a hose or to use a bucket or a watering can. There is very little water pressure in your barrel. So that's why I have a picture of the barrel here on the right. If you raise it up a little bit, you're increasing gravity and you're letting gravity do the work to get that water out of your barrel. So it'll give it a little bit more pressure. Next, I'd like to talk about barrel decoration and protection. Not only does it make your barrel look pretty, and it's fun to do, it also does protect your barrel. So there's all kinds of options when it comes to decorating your barrel. You can use all kinds of different paints. Really, the sky is the limit, how funky you want to get with it or how subdued. It really is your your preference. You can see here we've got some more artistic, colorful options. And then here on the second picture, it's kind of the same color as the house. But the idea about painting your barrel, whether you're making it look fun or just kind of the same color of your house, which is fine. The idea is that we're keeping the integrity of the barrel material in place. As we know, Florida sun is rough and it really can just beat things up. By putting on some paint, a layer of paint, and some UV protection paint, it really makes a difference and will prolong the life of your barrel. My barrel is painted and I've had it for over 8 years, and it pretty much looks like it did when I got it. Another plus for protecting your barrel by painting it is if you're keeping that light out, it helps keep that sunlight out from creating or entering and creating algae. So there are multiple benefits to decorating your barrel. So just keep that in mind. I will be starting up a barrel decoration class in the fall once it gets a little bit cooler. If that's something you're interested in, please reach out and let us know. It's a really fun class. We go through different techniques on how to decorate your barrel. So it's something interesting and fun, and you get together with a whole bunch of people and you work together and get to see what everyone else is doing. It's a fun time. So if you're interested, please let us know. All right. So with that, I want to talk about safety. These barrels, if you have 50 gallons of water, we're looking at maybe over 400 pounds for each barrel. So these are heavy and we want to keep that in mind. So for safety reasons, we want to have no overhang. And what does that mean? No overhang is, as we can see in the picture here, none of the bottom of the barrel is hanging over the edge of the platform. The whole bottom is being supported. And the reason we want to do that is because we want to make sure that the material of the barrel is intact and it is stable, level. Just a reminder to make sure that you're on mute. Thank you very much. So stable, level, and that the material is being, I got thrown off. Sorry, guys. You don't want the material to get weak. If it's overhanging, the material will get weak. So we want to have no overhang. Weight, I talked about 8 pounds per gallon for water. So these can weigh over 400 pounds, very heavy, leading to us talking about tipping. We do not want those to tip on anyone. Once again, we want to make sure we have a level and stable platform for these to sit upon. No climbing. And what I'm referring to is pets, animals, kids. We don't want anyone on that. Once again, that goes back to tipping. It's heavy. We don't want this to fall on anyone. Nothing falling on top. You guys, luckily with your barrels, have no open spaces really, so you don't really have to worry about this. But sometimes when it's a fully open barrel, you could worry about things falling inside. I like to mention not to have pets, animals, children around it, because it'd be terrible if someone or something fell into the barrel and was unable to get out. And finally, once again, overflow. You want to think about that water, that excess water. Where is it going when your rain barrel is full? And finally, we have upkeep. There is minimal upkeep, but there is a little bit that's going to come with your rain barrel. You want to think first about where you're placing your barrel. You want to get a spot, obviously, that you're going to get plenty of rain. Most likely it's going to be your gutter, near your gutter, your down system there, or in a place that it's coming off your roof. If you can find a place that is shady or mostly shady, that would be ideal. That really helps keep the material of your barrel intact because they can become brittle over time due to the sun. So we want to think about how much sunlight our barrel is receiving daily. Once again, painting the barrel is a great way also to help keep that the barrel material intact and help keep it from breaking over time. You also want to make sure that you're using your water. We're doing all this work to get our rain barrel out there. Let's make sure we got that water going out and we're using it. We don't want it to sit in there for too long. And then finally, talk about mosquitoes real quick. I had mentioned that the filters help keep the mosquitoes out. I'm not completely familiar with the barrels that you guys are using, but from what I see, it looks like that's a pretty small mesh, so you shouldn't have a problem with any mosquitoes with your barrel. If for some reason that you did end up having mosquitoes enter your barrel, there are multiple products out on the market that you could use. We have some mosquito dunks here, mosquito bits. It is BT. I have a very hard time saying the actual name of that. But what it does is you would put it into your water and it will kill any of the larvae that are inside of your barrel. If you do go this route, if you have to end up using this, I want you to keep in mind that while these dunks are used to kill the larvae, it could possibly have a negative effect on caterpillars if you are using your rain barrel water on a plant that has caterpillars. So just keep that in the back of your mind because this does kill things in the larval form. And then finally, for upkeep, you want to make sure that you're cleaning your rain barrel at least once a year. You do have that filter there that does help keep most of the stuff out, but there could be a little buildup of debris or such at the bottom of your filter of your barrel, excuse me. So it's best to clean it out at least once a year. Most likely you could just spray it out with a hose. You don't need any special cleaner or anything. You don't obviously want to put anything too crazy or toxic in there because you are using this water on plants and such. So just a little bit of water. You could use a little dish soap or vinegar. And if you clean it before the rainy season, that's usually best. That way it's good to go and you can collect all the rain and have no problems once the rains start.